Hi, how are you guys? In this video, I'm going to show you about the check buttons. So in the previous videos, I have talked about creating UI in Python using the tkinter module. The first part was about creating labels and entry boxes. The second part was about joining your UI with files, so reading and writing from the UI, from the files to the UI and vice versa. The third part was only for radio buttons. The fourth part was for option menu, that means the drop down boxes, and the fifth part is about check buttons. That means the current part right now. That's what I'm going to cover today. Check buttons, meaning you put it when you select it, it shows a tick mark next to it. And the sixth part is about text areas, which I'll do in the next part. Okay, so let's start with the tutorial. I've already created a piece of code which shows the check buttons. Now I will just run this and show you, and then I'll recreate this fully. So it looks something like this. So it says choose hobbies, and I've just put in two hobbies, music and sports. So you can either select both of them or only one of them, really depends. Okay, now I'll just create a new one and show you. So I'll create a new file from tkinter, import asterisk w equals to tk. So we create a new window. Geometry, I'm going to set dimensions for it. So 300 times 200. 300 is the width in pixels, 200 is the height in pixels. Title, so I'm just going to write a title, check button. That is done. Now we have to create the check button. So first I'll create a label which says label. It's a part of w. Text is equal to choose or select hobbies. That's it. And dot pack. Dot pack is another layout manager which I'm using for the first time in these GUI series of tutorials. So in dot pack, what happens is elements are just put one below the other. It's not the best thing to use. Grid is much better because you can position elements row and column wise. But dot pack is not bad either. It's good for this tutorial purposes. It's really good. Now LBL is done. Now we have to do the next one, which is the check button. It's a part of W. Text on it should be, the first one is music and dot pack. So that itself will create a checkbox. Okay, so I'm going to create 5 of those. So the first one is music, second one is sports, third one can be reading, fourth one can be what can be people, yeah, gardening, and fifth one can be cooking, baking. Some people bake very well. It's a great talent to bake well. So now I'll run this code. First I'll have to save it, and we'll do check button 2. Okay, so now I'm going to run this code. There you go, you see all the check buttons. See, I can click on music, click on sports, so on. So that's it, right? It's not that's it. This is just the basic. But now how to fetch values, that is the most tricky part. So now, I mean, these things are working individually. So I can select any one or unselect any one, as many as I want. The difference between check buttons and radio buttons is that radio buttons work in a group. It's like the gender radio button where you have to select one out of the 3 genders or 2 genders or things like that. But when there is a thing like selecting hobbies, you can select multiple options. That time you have to use check buttons. So that's the difference between them. Now let's see, let's go ahead and change this. Let's make it working. So now there should be a normal button here. Button. It's a part of W. The text should be submit. Okay, that should be the text of the button, and yeah, command. So when I click the button, a function should be called as check, and here I'm going to make that function def check. So now let's see, if I click the How will I know whether I've clicked the music check button or not? So for that we have to make a variable music equals to int var, and we have to join that variable over here, variable equals to music. Okay, and then what we have to do inside the check is we have to check if music.get equal to 1. Okay, that means the button is selected. That means, and then we can print music, and here I'm going to write print your hobbies are, the first one is music, and we'll have to do the same for all of them eventually, but let's just work on the first one. Let's select music and let's click submit, and now there is something shown on the shell. See, your hobbies are music. So let's uncheck music and click, and it doesn't show music. Okay, so now you understood how to bind a checkbox so that you can get the value in it. It is just by using a int var. You have to connect that int var over here in the checkboxes variable attribute, and then when you do that variable dot get, it will return a 1 or 0. 1 means the checkbox is selected, 0 means the checkbox is not selected. Okay, so that is that. So I'm going to create more variables like music. I'm going to create sports equals to int var, and eventually connect this with variable equals to sports, and then I'm going to create reading equals to int var, and I'm going to connect variable equals to reading, and I'm going to create another variable over here called garden equals to int var. I'm going to create join it over here, and the same thing for the last one. I'm going to create baking equals to int var, and I'm going to join that over here. That's it. So we have created variables music, sports, reading, garden, and baking. So for all the checkboxes, we have created 5 variables. Now we have to do the same thing over here. If sports dot get equal to 1, then you have to print sports. If reading dot get equal to 1, then you have to print. See, now when I pressed enter, I didn't get that indent, so I realized that I have not put a colon. Even here I have not put a colon. That's a grave mistake. If you don't put a colon, that's not good. Reading if baking dot get equals to 1. Again I missed a colon. What's going on, Ravi? Ravi's under a lot of stress because he's filming online. See, I put a colon somewhere where I shouldn't have put it. If the last one, so we have done, we have checked for music, sports, reading, baking, and the last one we didn't check for gardening. So garden get equals to 1, print gardening. Gardening is also a very good hobby. It's very delicate, and they say that, if you grow a plant, it's really good. You feel a sense of accomplishment and you become more responsible. I don't do gardening because my plants don't grow. There is some problem here. So variable, the spelling is wrong. Variable, oops, it's a BLE, and there is no comma before that. Okay, it all looks okay to me. Now time to run it. Let's see. See, I'm going to click music, I'm going to click reading and gardening because I just said that gardening is good. So let's do submit. And it says, see, I mean, it doesn't tell you what things you have not checked. So if you check everything, it's going to say everything. And let's not only check one of the things. So the whole point is now you can put this in file or something. Since you know what checkbox is checked, you can store the information in a file, or instead of printing it on the screen, if that's a part of your project, you can store it in a file. Okay, now what I'll do is the checkbox thing is done. So this is how checkboxes are created, and this is how they can be linked using the int var, and then you can print the details. But printing wasn't looking so cool, so I'll create a pop-up, okay, so that the pop-up will tell me what my hobbies are. So for a pop-up, we have to first import it from message box. First I'll make a message, so let's do m is equal to your hobbies are /n. Okay, now I'll do m plus equals to music /n, m plus equal to sports /n. So you see how how that, okay, I'll just put in /t. Now if you know what /n is, /n creates a new line, it's a new line character, and /t creates a tab of space. So we will see, I'll demonstrate that to you. M plus equal to is as good as writing m equals to m plus. It just saves a few typing characters. M plus equals to baking, m plus equals to gardening. That's it. And then I'm going to do the message box.show info. The first attribute in a message box is the heading, the title of the box itself, which can be check buttons. And the next thing is going to be m, the message. So let's see. Let's run it. Now nothing should get printed on the shell. Do music, gardening, and baking. I click submit. See, I get your hobbies are music, baking, gardening. Okay. Now if you see here, there is space. That is a tab. Okay. That is a tab. So tab creates a space with 4 characters. I'm just trying to see if I can resize this thing. I can't. So if the size was more, I think all the other things would also come on the same line. Music, baking, and gardening. But anyways, it looks good. I don't want to dig deep into it. You know how checkboxes work. Let's check reading. Let's do OK. Let's try it once more. So now I'll have sports, reading, and gardening. So I'm getting all of them in one line, which is cool. Okay. So great. So now you learned. So basically, when you're learning computer science and coding, don't focus so much on just doing fancy stuff. More crucial things to learn are data structures, object-oriented programming, databases. So go in a structured way. Just doing some fancy games and apps doesn't really develop your acumen so much to do more computer science in future. I'm talking about this message is for students who are in school and who are trying out coding. It is always fun to do some apps or some games, just download different parts of code from the internet, try to join them together, and there's a sense of accomplishment. But spend more time in learning quality stuff, like loops, nested loops, recursions, and learn theory in computer science, which is very important. If you get time, learn Boolean algebra and learn some computer hardware, so that you make some good foundations which you can use in your computer engineering, or when you do take some courses in your undergrad for computer science. Okay, so that will be much better than just wasting time in doing some games and some things like that. That is not that productive. All right. Okay. So that's that for the tutorial. I used up some time to give you some gyan. All right. I hope you liked it. Just give me a like, put your comments, think what thoughts in the comment section, and share this video. I need a lot of followers, so please share. Bye.